Air dry clay with silicone molds. It's a common question, and with these tips and tricks, you'll hopefully find it really easy, and this can also be used for all different kinds of clay. The air dry clay will take shape much easier if it's nice and soft. So take a small piece and knead the clay between your fingers. If the clay is dry, crumbly and cracked to begin with, then it's more likely to crack when it goes into the mold and dries. Some people like to dust the mold with cornstarch or baby powder, but I personally don't do this because it would add another step to the process and another item to the supply list. The clay is now nice and soft, and I've smoothed out all the edges, so I have a lovely smooth ball of clay which I can turn into a similar shape to the mold, in this case a nice long sausage, as the mold is slightly long in shape. Then starting on either the left or the right of the mold, really using my thumb and fingers to push all that clay down into the gaps. Using one piece like this for the full mold and pushing it as we go along would just make sure there's no more cracks and no join points and no places it can crack. As you have a go at this, you'll find your own flow, your own way of doing it. I like to often go in circular motions, as you see there. It also depends on the shape and the design of the mold. But that pressure downwards is what's really important here, all over the entire mold. Or if you prefer to press the clay in and overfill the mold, you can use something like a ruler to scrape away the top edge. This can drag a little, as you see here, and make it a little bit bumpy, but not to worry, that's easily fixed. And whichever way you've chosen to do, you can take a little bit of water on your finger and smooth everything out. Alternatively, take a damp sponge or a wet wipe and tidy up the back of the clay using circular motions like this. Whatever your shape of mold, add lots of pressure and make sure it's nice and neat and tidy on this surface. The clay is really sticky still, so to remove it at this stage it would be really fragile. So my best tip is to put this in the freezer for about 30 minutes. When working with some smaller molds, take a smaller piece of clay, give it a nice knead and make sure there are no cracks on the surface, and add plenty of pressure. This is a slightly harder mold and it works well with any kind of silicone molds, even with plastic molds. Pressing and working the clay from the outside in also gives a really neat shape. Air dry clay can be sanded and trimmed once it is fully dry, but if you do most of the work now, then none of that is needed. These are tiny little flowers and you really can capture the most intricate of details. If you do enjoy my creative videos, please do comment below and click the like button. I have many more creative projects to share with you very soon. 30 minutes later, my mold and clay are fully chilled, and this is my preferred method to demold, using the flat surface to make sure we keep that clay lovely and flat. Gently teasing the mold away from the clay, it does come away really easily. It's just good to go nice and slowly and gently. The clay has not dried yet, it's just chilled and slightly frozen, making it much easier to work with. As you can see, I can still hold it. If this was wet, it would be quite hard to hold in this way. The strawberries are also frozen and easily pop out. While the clay is still firm, add some glue on the back. This is just a white craft glue. I've left mine just a little bit too long and so it's actually defrosted. So take them out of the freezer just as you need them, not like I did here. Then gradually, as they start to defrost, which isn't long at all, they can start to bend around a surface like this glass jam jar. White craft glue holds them in place really well, but make sure you just put a thin film of glue. Otherwise, as I did here, I put far too much glue on, and as it was drying, the clay slid down the glass and completely solidly stuck in place right where I didn't want it. And just to show you demolding the wet clay without freezing it, it is so much harder to demold, and as you go it starts to crack. And even though I'm being really careful, this one cracked in several places, so I definitely recommend the freezer method. Using this method is also really good if you want to create lots of the same piece from one mold. For the flowers, I pressed the clay in, Pop them in the freezer, really not for very long because they're smaller. Pop them out, let them dry. Repeated this again, and you can keep doing that for as many of the pieces as you want and let them just dry. Then I use these flat embellishments, again with some white glue, to attach them to whatever you want to attach them to. This is a metal jam jar lid that I've coated in a layer of gesso. I'm now just smoothing out the glue with a paintbrush. Once you've sculpted or shaped the air dry clay like this and let it dry, you can also add it to canvas and wood. Once this is fully dry, I'm adding a coat of gesso so that I can paint any colour over the top. When you have lovely detail like this, it's nice to get a dry brush of a contrasting colour and really bring out all those details. I hope you've enjoyed this video of air dry clay and silicone molds. I have lots of creative videos for you to come and enjoy, so thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.